Hello and welcome inside our WPRI 12 podcast room. 12 Sports Director Sam Knox here from the New England Nation team, joined by Sophie Weller of Patriots Wire once again. Sophie, I think this is 2 of the last 3 weeks. You have graciously joined us.
Hey, anytime I can talk about Patriots.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you said yesterday in the locker room. So we appreciate it as always, and we got to see another great performance by the Patriots on Sunday as they defeated the Cleveland Browns handily, thanks to a second-half outburst, 23-6, outscoring them in the second half, 21 of those points being in the third quarter. What were your biggest takeaways from that big win for the Pats?
It's another slow start, which I do think needs to be addressed. I'm going to get to the positive stuff. I thought I'd knock the negative stuff out of the way first. But I think that slow start is really, it's going to come back to bite them eventually. Right now, when they're playing opponents where they can have this dominating second half, it's okay. But you have Tampa soon, and you have the Bills again. Like, you have these tough opponents where if you start slow, who knows if you'll be able to make that up. So I think they really need to address that. However, the positive is that they have a really good defense, and they have very, very solid offense. And, Drake is playing out of his mind right now. There's no denying the impact he's having on this team. And then at the same time, you have receivers. Everyone was so worried about this receiving core, and look at what happened. And your running backs are stepping up, and they're getting the run game going. The defense is the same as it's been in past weeks. I have only had good things to say for the last, for the last 5 wins in a row.
Yeah, they've been great. And the receiving core, a guy like Kayshon Boutte, I think a lot of people were almost ready to move on from. But he's been great. 5 touchdowns this year and really has turned a corner for them. And I think that's also allowed a lot of their other receivers to kind of settle in as well. And it gives another guy for Drake May to trust outside of Stephon Diggs. I think that's also very important. Speaking of Stephon Diggs getting into the end zone for the first time, pretty hard to believe that was the first time that he found the end zone. When you go back and look at it, you're like, oh yeah, wait, he really didn't get into the end zone. He's had some really good games, but that was good to see him get into the end zone. You could see how much it meant to him and the team.
Yeah, I actually was joking with him after the game because if you watch the play right before he got into the end zone, he was stopped about a yard short. And I don't know if this was on the broadcast or not, but what we could see from the press box was he was kind of jokingly throwing his hands on the ground in frustration and measuring with his arm to show he was so close because he really, really wanted that touchdown. And then the next drive he gets in, and I was like, were you mad you couldn't get it on? Were you afraid that you were going to lose that opportunity? And he was like, oh, I was that close.
Yeah, and it's good to see the Patriots have that type of alpha presence, not only, for just the offense, but also just the team in general. You haven't had a box office name like that, right? Drake May, obviously, last year was his rookie year, but Drake May now is, of course, one of those. He's an MVP, caliber type player, and he's been terrific. I mean, 15 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, so 17 overall touchdowns and just 3 interceptions for him so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think your big name was Hunter Henry before that.
Yeah.
I think the last few years that's been Drake's security blanket. That was the name you were hearing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, and now you have someone like Stephon Diggs, who's such a well-known name in this league. But as you were saying, you also have Kayshon Boutte, who he's the first to tell you that people forget he was once a first-round draft pick prospect. So, but it's, all the receivers are starting to make an impact in ways, and that makes them even more dangerous because, teams are going to be covering Stephon Diggs a lot more, but then they're leaving Demario Douglas wide open, who's had some big plays in the last few weeks.
Yeah, and speaking of Demario Douglas, and Stephon Diggs being in the locker room together, it seems like a really good, and it's actually a hilarious encounter whenever you have both of them together because it seems like Pop is his little brother in a way.
Exactly.
That's like what it feels like when you're speaking to them, and Pop is always, you and I were both in the scrum on Sunday, and it's always lighthearted, which is really cool, and I think the fans, they look at these guys as they're just football players in a way, but I mean they're just jokesters and great athletes at the same time, So it's cool to see that type of camaraderie between those two, and then what they share with the media.
They're one of my favorite duos, but I also have to give a shout out to Morgan Moses and Marcus Bryant. Anytime those two, because their lockers are also right next to each other. Oh my gosh, I want, like, they need a podcast. I don't care like what they talk about. They are so funny together.
Yesterday was the Glizzy, right? He had a hot dog, and Morgan.
I didn't even see that, but it's just every single day that we're like in there and we see them together, there are huge smiles on their faces, both of them, and they're just, oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, Marcus Bryant had a hot dog, and Morgan Moses was like, "Man, he's having a glizzy, like he's having a glizzy after the game. That's crazy." And it was just funny how you see those guys after games, especially after wins, right? After losses, it might be a little different, like it was a lot last year, but yeah, I mean, just a complete 180 of a locker room type vibe, and it's great to see. So that now they're 6-2. Do you think they stay atop the AFC East for the rest of the season?
I think that they can. I think that's the best way to put it. I don't want to sit here and say yes, they definitely will be. Mm-hmm. That being said, they have everything they need to, in my opinion, beat many, almost not all, but a lot of teams in this league. Mm-hmm. If they play their game. Like, that first half wasn't their game. That second half, we saw a lot of their game. There were still plenty of mistakes, and they were playing the Browns, so you have to weigh that. But if they play the game that they've shown glimpses of, and they can string that together and start putting that together for 60 minutes, I think that there aren't many teams in this league that could beat them. So I think it's a very real possibility, but the sloppy play does show itself more often than not right now. And as Vrabel has said time and time again, we're not looking at this 1 year as a rebuild, mm-hmm. And we're done. This first year, yes, we're having some success, but you have to wait. I think don't take away from their success, but like the strength of schedule is a huge thing. Mm-hmm. And as I was saying, I don't think at this rate that they could beat every team in this league. Right. If every team is playing at their best. I think that but the way that they're going, there's finally promise, and that can happen.
Certainly, I think it can. We'll talk after this first break. We will go into some other AFC threats for the Patriots and how their schedule has been a favor for them, but it also, could be a problem down the road. We'll talk about that on New England Nation Overtime after the break. Welcome back to New England Nation Overtime. Sam Knox here, joined by Sophie Weller, Patriots Wire, and I was thinking about it, Sophie, and when was the last playoff team the Patriots faced, besides the Bills? That was week 5, correct?
Yeah, that's...
That was probably it, right?
Tampa coming up.
Tampa's the next one, and then you have the Bills again. Are you really only going to face 2 playoff teams this year? If we're looking at that, I don't have the schedule in front of me right now, but correct me if I'm wrong. Right now,
I have to get it up real quick. Hold on, I have like a screenshot of it. I can quickly get this up.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think. You have Tampa. You have
You had the Steelers this year.
Yep, the Steelers.
Tomlin always finds his way in there.
Yep, at some point. Yep.
And then you have the Ravens.
Okay. Yep, they're gonna be. They should be. They should be in.
Yeah, and I'm like past years, but yeah, that's probably what you're looking at is Ravens, Buccaneers, Bills, and Steelers.
3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 teams. Is that a good thing? Because, I don't know. We've talked about this before when you've come on the show. It's just hard to put them. It's hard to measure where they are in a way when they are just playing these teams that are bottom feeders, but they're handling them well. So there's a balance there, right?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think that, listen, if we take one thing from Gerard Mayo last year, it's that he said over and over again, it's not easy to win in this league. Mm-hmm. And that is beyond true. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You're playing against how many guys aspire to be in the NFL and how many actually make it?
Mm-hmm.
You're playing against some really talented. Every team has the talent.
Practice squad too.
Practice squad, and also like you think about like the Browns. No one's looking at the Browns, but they have a top defense. Like they have Miles Garrett sacked Drake May 5 times.
Yep.
They had a franchise record against the Patriots O-line. Like
they still didn't even come close.
Exactly. Like they're facing some tough competition.
Yep.
And they're still able to make some things happen. It's just the way the schedule worked out. It's also you have to look at the division right now, where 2 out of the 4 teams in the division aren't exactly.
They're bad.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let you say it.
Yeah.
They're just not playing great, and that's so. And they're so when you're playing, that's 4 games right there.
Yep. Haven't played the Jets once yet.
And they still have 2 games against the Jets this year. There's just so many factors, but it's no matter what, it's not easy to win in this league, and they have to go in and show good football. Because as I'm saying, like we're all watching the other games too. We've seen all 32 teams play. Whether you're watching on we're watching on television, we're seeing the primetime anything, and so you're getting a glimpse of how these teams are playing against one another. You're seeing the things, from like the reporter standpoint, like I'm seeing what they're doing well, what they're not doing well.
Yep.
And I stand by my point that I don't think there's many teams that the Patriots would can't beat if they're playing at their best.
Yeah. I mean, look at a team like the Bengals who lost to the Jets, right? They played against a football team that struggled this year, and they lost. The Patriots aren't losing games like that. They're
Look at how the Chiefs started the season.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is still an MVP frontrunner, and the Chiefs started the season pretty down in the dumps.
Yeah. And I mean, that's still a dangerous team. There's no doubt about it. The Chiefs are going to be dangerous as long as they have that guy. That's I mean, they're up there. You got the Bills who are playing good football right now. There's a lot of the AFC has been pretty consistent over the recent years, and I think the Patriots being kind of one of those risers once again, where people are kind of starting to look over their shoulder and see the Patriots kind of coming out of the woods a little here, and it's a good thing to see for Patriot fans. A
lot of people are comparing it to the Washington Commanders last season.
Yep. Yeah. Very similar.
It's a very similar situation. Hopefully the next season isn't as similar, but I don't think it will be just with the cap space and all that. But it's a good comparison to make, just looking at from their last season is very similar to what's happening this season for New England.
Yeah, it is yeah. I mean, and people don't necessarily understand when we're talking about the schedule. Like, this is something that the Patriots earned. They got that last place schedule because they were a last place team. And that team has been through 2 straight seasons of that. So, and now if you can take advantage of that.
Also, opponents are set so far in advance, too. It's not like, the league's looking at your list of opponents after, in January being like, okay, we're going to have them face, the Panthers. Come on, let's have them go up against the Browns.
Let's have them face the media for a game, and that'll be one.
I'm waiting. Vrabel said it could happen. I'm waiting. I'm down. But no, I mean, I think like the opponents are. I mean, there's opponents for what 2028. Like I think they go really far out. So I also think that's something to consider. Is it's not just because it's a last place team. It's like this was gonna be their schedule outside of maybe 2 or 3 of them. This was decided before the year.
Yeah. No, and that's actually a very good point. Who do you think is one of the unsung heroes of this team thus far that maybe we haven't discussed yet?
Easy, Khyiris Tonga.
Khyiris Tonga.
That is a name that no one, when you're mentioning the defensive line, it's
Yep.
Barmore, it's Milton Williams. No, Tonga, throw his name right in that mix, and he has been playing lights out.
Yeah.
That defensive line doesn't do half of what it's doing without him. I can't say enough good things about him. I think that is such an underrated signing that they made. That's such a player that's not getting the credit he deserves in the slightest bit.
Nose tackles deserve love too.
Yes, we need that on a T-shirt.
I know. No, and that's a good point because their run defense has been fantastic. they haven't let a running back have a good game yet. And that's a guy that's plugging the middle.
I always look at the James Cook game, and I think that's like the best kind of basis of the running back, because that's your face top running back in this league.
Right.
And prior to that, it was a week, but they faced in week 6, I think was the Bills, week 5 or week 6. Prior to that game, he had 100 yards in every game.
Mm-hmm.
They held him to 50.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he had like 404 yards or something through 4 weeks, week 5, and then, with all due respect to Devon Godshaw, but you take Devon Godshaw, you let him go, and then you bring in Tonga. I think it's been an upgrade in terms of run defense, but also at the same time, I think that Tonga has fit the chemistry really well with the guys on the D-line.
It's just it's the culture too. I've written probably like 3 columns on this now. It's just every player that the Patriots have brought in or that they kept from last season was picked so carefully.
Mm-hmm.
It's as if like, you have this giant pool of NFL players and you're just going,
yeah.
Like, and I know that seems like what every team does, but it's just something about this one. Like Vrabel picked everyone so specifically because every player aligns so perfectly with what he's looking to build and the culture he's creating. And that's how Tonga, I feel he's one of those players that was, no one was looking at coming in. Same with Kayvon Chason. Look at the year he's having.
Yeah.
Now with Vrabel's like, we're bringing him in, and now he's, having a year. So, yeah, Tonga. If you're asking for an unsung hero, that's the easy one right there.
I love it.
Hit it down.
I saw it in your face right away. You're like, that's what I'm like. All right, let Soph cook. Let Soph cook.
Oh God, I was talking to him about that. I was like, I said that to him. I was like, you're not getting enough credit. You have been.
I'm sure he appreciates it. No, he's been great.
Yes, great guy. He's a great guy.
That's awesome. All right, Sophie, thank you so much. We have one more block on New England Nation Overtime. We'll look ahead to the Falcons coming up after the break. Hello and welcome back to New England Nation Overtime. Sam Knox joined by Sophie Weller of Patriots Wire. And Sophie, I wanted to pitch in my thoughts on unsung heroes. Our great intern Ryan Palillo is sitting right across from me, and he was like, well, "What's yours?" And I'm like, that's a good question.
I want to hear it.
Will Campbell.
Yeah, love it.
I think Will Campbell has been really, really good, and we talk about this a lot. Maybe it's a good thing that he's an unsung hero because a lot of the time. We spoke about this the last time as well, is if you're not hearing a name on the offensive line, it's usually a pretty good thing. And but I think he's done really well protecting Drake, and I think that they've built a really good relationship. And, they needed it. They got it in the draft. And, look, got to have a good left tackle.
Yeah.
He's been good. And I think Jared Wilson has been good, too. That rookie left side has done a really good job. I think the whole line is the line as a whole has done a really good job, but I do think Will Campbell for the most part, but Jared Wilson is all gets some credit there as well. So that's what I would go with, and I think it's given Drake some more confidence to be able to, hey, I can take a couple more seconds and maybe find.
I have time to make a play.
Right, and be confident in stepping up in the pocket and being the quarterback that he is, and I think part of that is because of the left side of the line, his success this year.
I think it's notable that Will Campbell only gave up 2 sacks to Myles Garrett. Like, I know that might seem like a lot,
right.
But when you're looking, this is a Hall of Fame player.
This is Myles Garrett.
There is no doubt that
right.
Myles Garrett is one of the best players in this league, and going up against a rookie on the left side who a lot of people thought should make the move to guard because apparently, those arms aren't big enough to are long enough to block Myles Garrett, gave up 2 sacks to this Hall of Fame player in his first year in the league.
That's almost like giving up no sacks.
It's going to go up. It's just going to go up from here because there are some other guys in this league who have been here for a lot longer that are giving up a lot more sacks to Myles. So, I'm right there with you. I think Will Campbell definitely deserves his flowers this season. Yeah, no doubt. And being a rookie, too, the speed of the game, right? They talk about that's why it seems like Travion Henderson has just struggled a little bit to just kind of turn that corner. But Campbell's done a good job because you talk about speed in the NFL. A lot of those edge rushers have a lot of speed, and it's probably more so than at the college level. Even though yes, Will Campbell was in the SEC, but I think he's done a really good job adjusting to the speed of the NFL.
And I do, like, while we're on it, I think Travion Henderson will get there. I mean, he is such a humble guy. We talked to him in the locker room yesterday on Sunday, and he's being patient with it seems. And I think he knows, and the coaching staff hasn't, put him out there when they don't think that he is necessarily ready. So I think it's a good thing, and hopefully we do see his full potential. It maybe even if it's not this year, maybe next year.
It'll come. I think he's getting confidence in the league. Mm-hmm. There's also a lot of trust regardless of the past with Ramondre Stevenson. So he's going to get the carries for the most part. And then you had Antonio Gibson, who was above him on the depth chart. So now you're seeing Travion step up a little bit more with Antonio out. And you're seeing Travion have that confidence. I mean, when he hits space, he just takes it.
Yep.
And he can he's getting those extra yards and taking it down and dodging players, using his speed and all that. And I think that they just have to work on that more with him. That's the biggest thing, is giving him that opportunity. He is such a humble guy. I have been a little confused at times as to why they're not giving him more opportunities. I know the blocking has been a big issue, so I'm sure that's part of it. Mm-hmm. But, I just give him the opportunities. It's trial by fire. You saw that with Will Campbell. We were talking about Will Campbell, and he's been doing really well with trial by fire. Mm-hmm. You got to give him opportunities.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Pat's running game needs to be a little more consistent. This past week it wasn't great, but then again, when you beat a team by 19 points and you have a second half like that, you can't really complain too much. There's always going to be something to improve on, obviously. So,
you want there to be. You don't want to be complacent. They're looking at a 19-point win, and the first thing Vrabel said was, well, there were some things that we got to clean up.
Right.
I think that's the first thing he says in his press conference.
Yeah. Going into the Falcons game, I think we all know what the main threat here is. Bijan Robinson.
Tonga.
Tonga's like, yeah. He's like, try coming up the middle. Big number 95.
You better be watching him this week.
I'm telling you, I'm going to be laser focused on Kyrus Tonga because Sophie Weller was like, you know what? Keep your eye on number 95. And you know what I will? And it's a good point because not everyone's we're not like, to be honest with you, often I'm not looking at the D tackles. But that's a really good point. They've been great against the run. So I think that they'll hopefully this is the best back they've seen all year though. And I do think that the talent that the Falcons have is a tick up than what we've seen the past 4 weeks.
They're going to rely on the run game, and it's also, I think, it's going to be a little fun to see. You have Penix versus Drake. It's always fun, that draft class, kind of see them go up against one another. So I am looking forward to that a little bit, and just seeing Penix play. But no, I think, the faith is there because you held James Cook to 50. You just got to repeat that performance times 10 because it's Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, Bijan is a beast, and he's shown that time and time again. But this is a team that just got crushed by the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, you got to look at it a little. They were without Penix, so
right. So it's tough.
I don't know how much you could take away from that. I think look at past games. Look at the Falcons' past games. Look at that game against the Bills in prime time, right? That one, that's the game I'd be studying,
right?
Because they stepped up to the plate on that one.
No, it'll be an interesting one. You have the Falcons this week, and then you have you hit the road to take on Tampa. Yeah, which is a big one.
It goes to Tampa, and then you come back home. You have Thursday night football against the Jets. And this is up to Thanksgiving. I'll give you the Thanksgiving schedule.
This is what we're thankful for.
Yeah,
Sophie
this is what
giving
we're
us
thankful for.
the schedule up to the Turkey
I have
Day.
November memorized.
I love it.
You got Falcons, and then you go Tampa away, come back home. You do Jets Thursday night football. You go away for Cincinnati. Then you Thanksgiving, eat your turkey.
Yep.
And that Monday night, Giants at home.
Yep, we're thankful for the NFL for giving us no Thanksgiving weekend game. Spend some time. Yeah, no, but it's the schedule is they were looking out for the media right there. Give a couple extra days, have some leftovers with the family, but no, it's a I think they'll, still certainly favors the Patriots. So that the next month. So, we could be enjoying some of those cold games a little more than we have in the past years, which is a good thing. So,
fingers crossed.
Yeah, no doubt. But hey, they're first place in the AFC East, second place in the AFC. So,
who saw that one coming?
I did not. I
No,
did not.
I don't think anyone did.
Yeah, but good for them. And it's been a fun ride covering them. Sophie, thanks so much for joining us on this edition of New England Nation Overtime. Keep your eye out for Kairos Tonga, everyone. You heard it here first. Sophie, appreciate you hopping on. As Mike Vrabel would say, hey, Soph. Thanks, Soph. She is on name basis with Mike Vrabel. Not everyone is. I'll tell you that much. Not everyone is. So, Sophie, we appreciate you hopping on. Thanks as always, and we will be sure to have you on at some point once again. Thanks for tuning in.
You know when.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on New England Nation Overtime. Patriots look to get a win against the Falcons at home on November 2nd.